Ghost of Tsushima. What can I say? Let's start with the environments, because those are just beautiful. I'm gonna try to keep this short, because I don't want to drag this video out. And yeah, the environments, they are beautiful, and I love how alive they make the world look. Because when you go through the grass with your character, he stretches out his arms and touches the grass. I mean, and when you ride through the grass, your character sometimes moves, he tilts from in the saddle to touch the grass. Looks really nice, and it makes the character look alive as well, because he interacts with the environment in a beautiful way. Also in the environment you have animals like does, reindeers, whatever, wild boars, foxes, birds and bears, and they all interact. But the one thing about fox dens, there are a bit too many of them, I think. I mean, they're littered all over the map, almost. These foxes lead you to different shrines, or a type of shrine that gives you a charm. And charms are made in, or are used in weapons to increase, or, well, add something like life or damage or something like that. You know, basic things, like runes in some games. But these charms are acquired when you have honored the shrines in a certain number of them. And also you can get higher, better charms from a certain other type of shrines that you need to traverse the environment to find, or climb a mountain, more like. And speaking of climbing the environment, the traversal in the environment can be a bit tricky sometimes, mostly because of the camera, or because of the character can't climb everywhere, like in Assassin's Creed or games like that. You have a certain amount, there is a certain, like Horizon Zero Dawn, there is only a certain places where you can climb. There are like marked with red, looks like blood almost, or red rock. And then you have ledges that you can, you just move the move button and the character jumps from ledge to ledge. It's quite easy, looks good. The animation for that is very good, but it's kind of boring. And some places where you think that he can grab onto, he can't, and some places where you think he can't grab onto, he can grab onto. So that's fun. And besides that, no, I think traversal is very good, and it's very detailed. And even when you run through mud, your boots or pants get different amounts of mud on them, depending on if you're just jogging through it or walking, or if you're sprinting through it. I mean, if you walk, you maybe get here, and if you jog, maybe here. If you sprint, it's up to your knees. That's a really cool detail. I love that. And if you go into the water, you actually remove that mud. So, I mean, that detail, the same details go into the combat where you strike with your sword, the blood sprays in different directions and land in different directions, or there are different directions in the blood splatter. I mean, come on. If they can do that with a PlayStation 4, I can't wait what Sucker Punch do with a game on the PlayStation 5. That's just awesome. Yeah, no, excuse me. Moving on to the story. The story contains many characters and many kind of places, different places like swamps and forest and snowy islands, and I mean they all look great, and the characters in this story progress a natural way. I mean, they don't go like this and then change character, they go like this. It changed over time, and it's very a natural way that they all change, both the main character and the side characters, the companions of the main character, and also the enemy characters. You can also see why the enemy characters do what they do, what their motivation is, and why do they want to do this, and why do they do it in this way. It's told very well. The only downside I think to the characters and the story is that I want to played this game in original with Japanese voices, or what I thought was original, but since they recorded this with English voices, the Japanese voices becomes the dubbed version, and my god, I watched the dubbed version when someone was talking. I can't remember if it was the main antagonist, the Khan, Kogai Khan, whatever his name was. They only refer to him mostly for the Khan, so kind of forgot the first name. But it looked horrible when he spoke. I mean, the Japanese? No, I can't speak Japanese, so I don't know. That sounded very well, but the mouth movements were so weird, and it didn't fit at all with the mouth movements didn't fit with the what was said, or how it was said. So I played with the English voices instead, and that was still very good. I mean, the voice actors still do a great job. All of the characters are great, have great voice actors attached to them, and they all feel...
Yeah, sorry about the jump cut there. I made a little error when I was editing this, so a part of the last bit there got edited out. What I meant to say was all the characters feel alive in the world. And now, back to the review.
And I don't know what else I can say about the characters. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just gonna shut up now about those and move on to the combat. The combat is very free-flowing and works excellent. I think this is a combat system that Assassin's Creed should take some inspiration from, because even though you can still stand there and just block and counterattack, that could still leave you open, because you can't strike down one enemy and then just move on to the next right after, because you need to think about what kind of enemy is there, are there any archers close by, and what other kind of weapons and types of enemies are there around you, because in combat you will have to have different stances between, or depending on what your enemy you're attacking. If he has a shield, you need to use water stance and stone stance for the big brutes, and no stone stance, or a stone stance is for swordsmen. What was it, the brutes? Can't remember the stance, seriously. Whatever, moving on. The stances are, of course, you learn them throughout the game, and just observe a leader or kill them. But you should observe, if you creep up to a leader in an enemy camp and hold R2, you observe them, and when that is full you get a point to the next stance, then you kill them, and then you get another point in that stance. So if you do that, you can move quite quickly throughout all the 4 stances, because you don't unlock the stances through the story, which is a nice change actually, because mostly those things are unlocked through story, and that kind of can drag on. But not this one, so that was a really nice change of pace actually. Now, other things about the combat, it's very... Sometimes I have seen a couple glitches that makes, when I get attacked, the enemy weapon doesn't contact me, it doesn't hit me, but I still get damaged and I flinch. And then we of course have the 180 turnaround that some enemies do, you know, when they charge you and you dodge away and they turn around and they strike you, even though they were in the middle of a charge. I mean, if you run towards someone, can you do a 180 and just continue with the same kind of charge? No, you can't. I hate that. I hate that so much. Another thing I do hate in games is the big brutes, you know, standard enemies in games. You know, they're big so they can take more damage, and they can be hit by a shotgun in the stomach and not flinch or even react to it. I mean, I get tired of that. I mean, I'm slicing you with a katana. If I slice you with a katana, you're gonna react. I don't care how big you are. But as this is a game, they don't. Which is annoying. Of course, they shouldn't flinch just because I attack them every time, but make them block or something instead. Not just stand there and just don't care and then they hit you. Kind of tiring, actually. But with the certain weapons, you can still one-hit every enemy, in essence. I mean, with a bow, no matter where you are or what kind of enemy, if you shoot the enemy with a headshot with a bow, they die. Which is something I love. That is a great detail, because very few games have that. I don't think even Assassin's Creed have that. And I mean, shooting someone with a bow in the head, you're dead. I don't care how big you are, you're dead. So, and another problem I have with the game is that you can choose between the samurai code and becoming the ghost, or being a ghost. Stealthy versus challenging your enemies to a standoff, basically. And the standoff mechanic is very good and it works very well. It takes some getting used to at start, but it worked great. And you can slice through a couple of enemies if you get just happen to run into some enemies after a standoff, and you might get 3 kills or more without any sweat. But there's one thing though. It takes some getting used to, but the combat is still something that I very much like. But hitting those big enemies and they don't flinch and things like the game has you choose between samurai, fight like a samurai or fight like a ghost. And then but they still have these mandatory stealth sections. That doesn't make me feel like I'm choosing. Anyway, the game is great, and if I have to give this game a number, I give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely, 9 out of 10. And one thing that contributes to that point is the photo mode as well, because this photo mode is great. You can do so many things. The best thing about it is, I think, is you can make these short videos. Like, you can place the camera at different points, and then you press triangle, and the camera follows your cameras that you put out, and you can make a short video. Record that with the PlayStation share button. Double tap the share button and you can stop recording. Then you press triangle and and the camera pans around or do the thing you wanted it to do, and then you double tap again and you stop recording. You can also add music, and you can, but the music is of course based on the game and not your own music. And you can also add particles like leaves or bugs. But I love that photo mode, and I don't know how much. I don't know how many short videos I made with that photo mode, but maybe 24 at least. But let's move on from that, and now I'm done with Ghost of Tsushima. 9 out of 10, as I said. 9 out of 10.